Hello, I'm Nick Hixson. I've been 30 odd years as a chartered accountant specialising in small businesses, helping SMEs grow and thrive with an emphasis on strategy and innovation, which I'm developing some online tools through some doctoral research which will help you make better decisions. So how do you make good, fast decisions when you don't have enough data, which is after all most of the time? This is to help you better understand what rules of thumb are, that we all use them, and when and which are best. And this is for business owners, managers in all sizes of businesses, although it's set in a small business context. You should be able, by the end of this, to avoid some common pitfalls and understand some valuable quick tools for assessing and improving outcomes. Now, heuristics are rules of thumb, and we're going to use heuristics now. And beforehand, logic and statistics were linked to rationality, and this was the old way of doing things. Heuristics had a bad press, just a guess, no science. But people use them, but so made poor decisions, apparently. But if you've got no more data available, what else do you do? So, what are heuristics? They're strategies that are faster, frugal, and more accurate by ignoring part of the information. But tread confidently and carefully. These are inferences, not preferences. We all use heuristics unwittingly all the time. And it's helpful to know that you are, and if the heuristic you're using is appropriate. The good news is that research shows that appropriate heuristics are at least as good as the big math solutions we've all been told work, if only we had the time and the data and the statistical knowledge to use them. Research has been done on individual heuristics, but only recently has it all been pulled together to show that they pretty much all work well enough and produce a toolbox we can all use. But before you start, sense check everything. Your prejudices, are they the same as the population you're trying to influence? Will they clash or be similar? Similar is good. You want to share the same values and beliefs so that your choice better mirrors your population's choice. So sense check everything, then move on. And avoid a confirmation bias. That's the favouring an opinion that confirms your own beliefs. You may not be right. Here's some basic heuristics. The first one, the recognition heuristic. One of two alternatives is recognised and the other isn't. The recognised alternative has the higher value. It only compares two things. Are they the right ones? Ask yourself. Do we use this unconsciously? Should we sense check this for relevance? Here's an example. It's a branding one. Branding's useful. A familiar label can change results. The example being of a blind taste test of pickles. Once the labels were shown, the results changed and the most well-known pickle was preferred. That can be quite useful as well as quite bothersome. Here's another. Take the first heuristic. Choose the first alternative that comes to mind. The issue there is when self-belief clouds judgment. Entrepreneurs are confident, there's a hint, but not always right. Does the experience follow an earlier one? Check they're really the same, the full context, or are you self-herding when earlier experiences provide a norm for you such that you rush on and assume the new experience is just the same and you end up fooling yourself? Sense check it. Framing effects are very helpful. There's a cognitive bias in people and that they react differently depending on whether something is framed as a loss or a gain. A loss is more significant to folk. Beware when you're being directed this way, but also you may wish to frame your negotiations with customers or suppliers by starting with their loss if they don't take your product, before emphasizing the benefits they might gain. People move more strongly away from loss than towards gains. Many heuristics can be described this way. There's potential for you to be wary, please do, but you can also use these to your advantage. Just a little bit of imagination needed. You can do that. Anchoring and adjustment's quite useful. It's used to estimate a value or a quantity, and it starts from an initial value and we adjust from that, and we use that all the time. But it tends to be over-influenced by the initial value. Avoid the single point range, just the average, because that tends to be a bit wrong. Use the rule of 5 or the median instead, which we've covered earlier. It overestimates the probability of moving towards an accurate result, and it underestimates the probability of moving away from an accurate result. Anchors are very persistent. They're hard to change, but they're useful to use. Again, is this a problem to you or a benefit? Here's the decoy effect. This is a type of anchor. The middle price in this example, almost no one chooses. It's wonderful, I love it. It's there simply to frame and provide a spurious value to the others. It's another form of anchoring. The reader adjusts values about the middle price, although there's no rationale to that, and they use the middle price as a comparator. The bottom price sells the most. That's more revenue overall than if the middle price wasn't there. You now know that you can use heuristics, and you know why and why not, and to sense check everything, ensuring you know what biases you're using. And test the water, don't bet the house on anything. There are many more heuristics, and it's worthwhile taking some time to explore them to ensure that you don't end up fooling yourself and using something inappropriate by mistake. In the meantime, I've put all of this information in a PDF which you can download from the website.